want to address in this video something that is not spoken about very much and enough in the manifesting community, with a lot of different coaches out there and channels and books. And it's something that A Course in Miracles, Reality Transurfing, Scriptures talks about in great detail and of high importance. In other words, it's underlying that you're really needing to release this in order for you to have your desires. And again, it is not spoken about enough, and it comes in different shapes and forms depending on you, on the person. And for many think that they don't experience this, and others clearly experience it. It's all over the place. And this is coming on a topic from many conversations that I've had this week with friends and clients. And I want to address this for once and for all, because I want you to self-evaluate yourself, become aware within yourself, and ask yourself if you are experiencing this. And it's kind of sneaky, so don't dismiss it right away, because when you release this, you will see a massive, instant difference in your life. Welcome, my name is Rose, and welcome to The Rosey Life, where we help you free your mind and follow your heart so you live a life that you love. If you're interested in working one-on-one with me, you know what to do. Go to RoseyLife.com. And you can go to join the Rosey Life course and community as well, where that has 12 lessons built in, self-paced, to get you to focus on the inside and look at all these different topics that I talk about in all the videos all the time, but more in a structured way. And then there's a community where you can ask questions, and it's a forum open for you to ask questions, get support, and I show up weekly live to answer your questions in another setting. All right, so let's get to this, all right? And by the way, I have something coming up. I have been working on something that is going to be epic, and I'm going to be announcing it very soon. And it's something that's going to be limited to 15 people. And it's so freaking amazing. I am so excited. So stay tuned. I will be announcing it, and I will be posting on my website. But you will hear it from me here first, all right? So stay tuned. Okay, so I wanted to talk about this. Like I said, this comes from different client sessions that I've had this week, and also conversations with some peers, a fellow coach, and with some friends. And the topic, you guys, and I don't want you to dismiss it, because I used to too. And when I released this, so many things happened, and I held on to this for years unknowingly. And the topic is guilt. Guilt is a very powerful thing that can hold on to you in many different shapes and forms. And why it's important to look at this from a different perspective. This is coming from a spiritual perspective, not just a feeling, because we all know what guilt feels like, and we all know that it's a feeling and it feels awful. And a lot of you will dismiss and say, I don't feel that, I don't feel that, I don't feel guilty about anything. And that's great, that's cool, and I'm happy for you. But I want you to give me a moment of your time so that I can share with you how guilt has snuck up on different people. So one of the things that was addressed in different conversations this week is, Rose, there's a lot of content out there about how to get your SP back and how to manifest them back, or how to find another one. I said, and these conversations were like, but there's no content out there about how to get out of a relationship, how to end a relationship because of the guilt and them not knowing how to get away from it. The same thing I mentioned is the same thing with leaving a career, or leaving a family business, or stepping away from doing anything, right, without that feeling of guilt. And there's, like I said, you guys, there's so many ways that this comes out. Also, conversations that I've had with clients of them feeling guilty about how they treated their person, that they want them back, but they feel bad for how they behaved with that person. And then they're really punishing themselves. So we're going to talk about this topic to free you from this elusive guilt story. Okay, so remember, so I looked up Webster Dictionary, like you guys know I do a lot, right, on guilt. What is the definition of guilt? It's a feeling of having done wrong or failed an obligation. And I would like to even add to this, it's a feeling of you're going to do something wrong, right? Like if you want to leave a relationship, leave a job, walk away from a family business, walk away from a friendship, those kind of things, right? A feeling of you're going to do something wrong, so you're afraid of feeling the guilt, so you don't do it because you don't want to feel guilty, or you've done it and you're feeling guilty, right? So remember, assumptions, this is just a recap what I've already said in other videos in depth, right? An assumption is what causes thoughts and feelings and actions. So the feeling of guilt, right, of guilt comes from an assumption. What's the assumption? Of having done something wrong or doing something wrong. Do you see? So you feel like you're going to do something wrong, or you feel like you did something wrong, and now you have the feeling of guilt. The feeling of guilt is coming from an assumption, a thought. Okay, so I broke it down even a little further here for you. So you have this assumption that you did something. I did something wrong, bad, or whatever, right? That's the assumption. And now you're experiencing thoughts of, I'm a bad person, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, etc. So a lot of you get stuck in your head that you did something wrong, and now you're a bad person, you're not worthy, you're not good enough, and you're not deserving. And so a lot of you will go onto a self-concept journey, and like several clients that I talked to this week, right, they go onto a self-concept journey of fixing themselves, trying to feel good enough, worthy enough, smart enough, pretty enough, successful enough, all these things, because you're trying to get back your worthiness so that you can then have your desire, whatever it is, okay? And then the feelings, okay, so now you have the assumption, now you have the thoughts, and now you have feelings of, I feel bad, right? I feel bad, and so you feel pitiful, you feel ashamed, you feel embarrassed. So now you have these feelings that you're experiencing of pity, of shame, and feeling embarrassed because of what you did, or you're afraid of feeling these things, so you don't choose what it is that you want to because you're afraid of feeling guilty, you're afraid of feeling bad, okay? So then you say, then some actions that will go behind this is you're going to go hide, right? You're going to avoid, you're going to punish yourself, or you're going to deal with a situation. You're going to deal with not having your desire. You're going to deal with the job or the relationship or the friendship or whatever it is. You're just going to deal with it, right? Because you feel like, okay, you made your bed in it, now you got to lie in it, now you're stuck. And also you could be feeling guilty for wanting more money. You could feel guilty for a lot of things. Do you see? It's like, guilty is not a one trick pony. It comes in different ways. And then you go on this long journey of trying to build your self-concept and feeling better about yourself so that you can then deserve it, thinking, oh, if I just change everything about myself, then I can have what I want. And then you think that until you're that, you don't deserve it, that you don't deserve to have these things. You see, guilt is like it's in there, you guys. So instead of looking at, I did something wrong, I'm bad, I got to fix myself, what I want to move you into is, I made a choice, okay, with no judgment. I made a choice, and then that happened. The consequence of that choice happened, right? But I can make a new choice. I can make a new one, right? I am infinite choices, because remember, you're acting like you had one choice, you had one chance, you screwed it up, you made the choice you didn't want, and now you're stuck with it, and then you try to spend all your time trying to fix the choice that you're unhappy with, and then you think that you're stuck and that you have to learn how to cope with it, learn how to deal with it, right? Instead, and I want to pause here for a second and tell you that if this is a relationship that you're in and you don't want to be in anymore, right, or a job or a business or whatever, if you're in it, okay, understand that you made a choice, yes, but you have options. And I want to share with you the two basic options that are obvious to me, but I want to make them obvious to you. One, yes, you can change and manifest a different version of that person or that friend or the family or the job or the coworkers or whatever you're in. You can manifest different versions of them to have a different experience. That is an option. Okay, if you want it. But if you don't want that option, you don't have to do it. You don't have to change them, and you don't have to stay. You don't have to settle. You don't have to. You can go on and choose a completely different option that does not involve those same people or situations or workplace or anything. You can go choose a different one. So I wanted to make that clear because I don't want you to think that your only option is to leave, that you can manifest different versions of people, different versions of scenarios and situations, right? But what you're wanting to do is focus on what you want. And we're going to get into that deeper, all right? So, in other words, when you realize that you are infinite choices, so now you say, okay, I made a choice, now I'm going to move into another choice. Instead of feeling those feelings of guilt and feeling bad, and you think that you're just choosing as just little old you, I want you to think of you're deciding with God as God. When you make a new choice about what you want, you're deciding with God and as God. God doesn't feel guilty about changing his mind. You can change your mind 1,000,000 times if you want to. God doesn't feel guilty about wanting billions of dollars. God doesn't feel guilty and doesn't, it's like, oh my God, I have to give back. I have to do nice things. No. Do you see? It's not a feeling. It's not you're deciding with God as God, not as your feelings. You think that your feelings are directing and guiding what you should and shouldn't do, but no, you want to decide with God as God. God declares it and then he gets it. Not asking questions. He's not asking permission. He just does it. So, and I love this scripture in John 3:17. It says, "For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn it, but that the world through him might be saved." Let me read that again. "For God did not send his Son, Christ, that Christ consciousness, into the world to condemn it, but that the world through him might be saved." In other words, you can't do anything wrong. It's already been right for you. Everything that you thought was wrong, it's not. It's just a choice. So you have been given that power, that Christ consciousness, to choose again and again and again and again and again and again. And anything that you think is wrong, anything that you think is an issue or a problem or an obstacle, is actually handled for you. That's what the scripture is saying. It's all the details on how it's going to iron out and how it's going to end up being and how people are going to respond and all of those things. All of those details are handled for you. You don't even have to worry about, is this a mistake? Is this going to be a bad thing? Is it going to hurt people? Blah, blah, blah. No, all those things are handled for you. How? Let's get into this, by choosing you. But I want to share with you more details about this guilt and where it comes from. Okay, so belief in punishment / reward, or in other words, good versus bad, the script of punishment will make you pay. I got this from Reality Surfing, and I think it's so spot on. It's like so spot on, you guys. So in other words, when he says script, right, that means assumption. He uses the word script, and what he's talking about is your assumption, all right? So in other words, you believe, if you feel guilty, that means you hold a belief about that's punishment versus reward. You're either punished or a reward based off what you say you do, right? In other words, you believe in good and bad still. You're still going back and forth that you're either on the good side or the bad side. That if you do this, you're good. If you don't do it, you're bad. If you do it, you're punished. If you don't do it, you're rewarded. Do you see? If you choose you, this is a big one, you guys, that if you choose yourself and you want what you want, that you're gonna receive your punishment for being selfish. That you're going to somehow, some way receive your karma for putting yourself first before others. I can't tell you how many times I've heard this from people, okay? And that you're rewarded for being a good boy or girl and staying and dealing with it. That makes you a good person to stay. And it makes you a bad person if you leave and choose yourself. Okay, so, and it says the script of punishment, in other words, you believing in good and bad and punishment and reward, it will make you pay. You will have to deal or live your assumptions. You will pay. Okay, if you believe that you're going to be punished for choosing yourself and going for what you want and asking for what you want, and that somehow, some way, it's too good to be true and that something's going to happen, you will pay for it because of your belief in punishment and reward. Because remember, you were not created, you were not to be condemned. You were created to enjoy and to have everything, and everything's already been paid for you. The law does not judge. The law of assumption, the law of attraction, all the law, they don't judge. You do. Remember, the law is like electricity, and it's not judging what you choose and what you do. There's no repercussions to what you do. It's only you get to choose what you want, okay? You do not have to justify yourself. You guys, this is the secret. This is the solution to any feeling of guilt, okay? You do not have to justify yourself to anyone, and you do not owe anybody anything. I want you guys to read that again with me. You do not have to justify yourself to anyone. You don't have to explain yourself as to why you want something. You don't have to explain yourself to no one. You don't have to explain yourself as to why you're making a choice. You give it to yourself, and you don't owe anybody anything. Even if you're a parent, if you're a kid, if you're a spouse, if you're a friend, an employee, you don't owe anyone anything. What you owe is you choosing yourself. That's what you owe. You owe yourself to choose yourself, choose your desires, and you allow the law, you allow that Christ conscious within you to handle all the details, and they will be handled with love. It will be handled perfectly in divine love. Everybody will have a positive outcome because you are love and you're handing it over to the divine love. Don't act like if you make a choice that someone's going to pay. Don't assume that. Assume that if you choose yourself, everyone wins and everything's going to happen perfectly. That by me choosing what I want, everybody around me wins. That's an assumption too. Do you see? Boldness is absence of guilt. That was reality transurfing up there, okay? But now boldness is A Course in Miracles. They talk about boldness is the absence of guilt. Again, another solution. Boldness is courage, it's daring, it's unapologetic, it's brave. Even Neville Goddard, in one of his lectures, he says, dare to assume that what you have is yours. Dare. This is all bold. Do you see? It's boldness. It's you allowing yourself to boldly assume, to dare to assume, to give yourself that it will work out, that everything will work out in your favor, that it will work out for everybody involved. If I choose what I want, instead of going down the guilty route, instead of feeling guilty for the past, I'm going to dare to assume that no, that they want me, that the job wants me, that person wants me, that they love me, that this version, they love me, they adore me. Do you see? But you're not allowing yourself to daring to assume that this possibility, that this version of you and them exist. Do you see that they could be happy, or that a different version of them exists and that is want and doesn't see anything bad? Do you see? It's just you holding yourself hostage in your own guilt. So guilt is the symbol of attack on God. It's a sign your thinking is unnatural. That's A Course in Miracles. That's so powerful. Guilt is a symbol of attack on God. And it's a sign your thinking is unnatural. In other words, guilt doesn't exist. It's a feeling, you guys. Guilt doesn't exist. It's not natural for you to think guilty thoughts and have guilty feelings, because you're saying that you've done something wrong. Do you see? Remember the definition? Guilt is a feeling of having done wrong or failed an obligation. How does even that align with being God? This is what A Course in Miracles is saying. It's unnatural. It's unnatural for you to think that you've done something wrong, or that you could do something wrong, or that you're failed to meet an obligation, or that you're failing at all. That's what's unnatural. That's what they're saying. So instead, you focus on things like trust. You dare to assume that you have what you want. You dare to give it to yourself. I dare you to give it to yourself that you have this thing. Dare yourself to choose something for yourself that you think that is like off the charts, ridiculous, like, oh my God. Just dare yourself to do it. And that's being bold, right? You do it with faith, with boldness. Why? Because I am God and I am the way. You are the way. Bold is the way. Daring is the way. You are the way. Okay, but that boldness is already built inside of you. You don't have to try to feel bold. You don't have to try to feel courage, because it's already who you are. It's just you taking a chance on your I am. It's you taking a chance on you embracing that you are that power. Remember, you don't have to justify what you choose to anybody. You don't owe anyone any explanation. You don't owe anyone anything. And I know, because you guys, I'm a mom, and I know a lot of you guys are too, and you think that you owe something. You owe something to your kids, or that your kids owe something to you, right? Or you're, as a kid, that you think you owe your parents something, or that you have to justify yourself, or that you have to justify why you want money. I'm going to do it to help the homeless, or I'm going to do it to help others, and then you're justifying why you want something. Again, you don't have to have a reason why you want something. You don't have to justify why you want something, because all of that's coming from guilt. And it's okay to help others. It's okay to help homeless or people that are in need or whatever. I'm not saying that that's not, those are wonderful things and part of abundance of giving, okay? But don't make that, oh, I want this because then I can do that, and that's why I want it, because now you're afraid that you just don't want it. No, understand that those that are leaders, that are either like celebrities or leaders, those people in power and peace, this is why they have that boldness. They dare to assume that they are leaders. They dare to assume that they are famous and great. They dare to assume that they can have it all. They don't walk around feeling guilty or feeling bad that they have it all. No, they dare to have it all, and then that's why they have it all. So I intend this video was helpful, and it serves as a reminder to release this guilt from within you. And it's just as easy as acknowledging it. Look at it, say, yeah, wow, that was so me. I no longer choose it. Guilt does not exist within me. And you can say that to yourself right now. Guilt does not exist within me, because it doesn't, you guys. It does not. You are the great I am. Guilt is just a feeling. It's just an idea. It's created, concocted by an assumption. So it's not even real. So to allow the guilt to run your life, to lead you around in your decisions, that what you can and what you can't can have doesn't make any sense. You are the living God that gets whatever you want. You are not run by guilt. Guilt does not exist within me, nor does it exist in any of you. I love you guys so, so much, and sending you guys all a big hug because you're all freaking amazing. Thank you so much for liking the channel, and thank you for subscribing and liking the videos. Thank you guys so much for your support, and I will see you guys really soon. All right, bye.